Happy New Year. I know I wasn't on last week, but I got to Tuesday and I just didn't feel it. Wasn't feeling streaming, so didn't happen. I'm back today though, and hopefully everything runs somewhat smoothly. I always have some sort of like audio issue or something, so if you check this out live, please let me know if there's any issues going on. Please don't mind the clutter of the house. I still haven't gotten everything reorganized. I had to completely reorganize my home because of a Christmas gift I gave someone in VR. So, yes, that needed space, so I had to reorganize, and I still haven't gotten things quite situated right. But, welcome. I do have someone I want to introduce to you guys. I'm so excited. My birthday is in December, so I got this for my birthday. I don't know if he'll fit in the picture. Nope. I'm trying. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Let's see. Well, that's the best we're gonna get. His head's cut off. Sorry. But yes, his name is Gregor. He's a pretty serious dude. Don't know why. Usually they kind of have a sense of humor, but this guy didn't give me that impression. So, he's anatomically correct, completely put together. I love it. Here, if you guys want to see his face, I can take it off. There we go. So, yeah, this is him. Let's just stabilize him on the stand. But it's a very nice specimen. I love it. Makes me so happy. This makes me so happy. I've wanted a replica for years, since I was like in high school, and to finally get it makes me so happy. Just gonna leave him right here next to me. And then I also got for Christmas, just because it's sitting here, why not, a little, like, the shine's so bad for this, a little bat in resin. Isn't it cute? It's so tiny. Look at his tiny little, like, feet. I can't believe how small they are. Bats are cool. I love bats. So I got that. Just do a little bragging. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year and all of that. And hopefully you guys are recovering from that sugar coma that tends to happen through the season. I don't know how much you guys eat, but during the holiday season we make a lot of fudge and hard candy and yeah, like eat sweet potatoes. Everything's so sweet and it's just so much sugar. But you know, it's do it once a year, it's okay, and then you get back on the wagon with eating right the rest of the year. So, today I have a little bit of a lesson I wanted to do. It's not that fancy of a slideshow, to be honest. It just isn't. I didn't decorate it. I should have. I really should have, but I didn't. Alright. Just add one more thing here. There we go. Alright. So let's begin with a couple news things. I know last time I was on there wasn't really much, but that's what happens when it's like Christmas time. So let's see. Ancient Mesopotamian discovery transforms knowledge of early farming. Rutgers researchers have unearthed the earliest definitive evidence of broomcorn millet in ancient Iraq, challenging our understanding of humanity's earliest agricultural practices. Their findings appear in the journal Scientific Reports.
overall, the presence of millet in ancient Iraq during this earlier time period challenges the accepted narrative of agricultural development in the region, as well as our models for how ancient societies provisioned themselves. And then titles from Elise Laguerre. Broomcorn millet is an amazingly robust, quick-growing, and versatile summer crop that was first domesticated in East Asia. The researchers analyzed microscopic plant remains, which are called phytoliths, and from Kani Masai, Kanai Masai, a mid-late 2nd millennium BCE site in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. The presence of this East Asian crop in ancient Iraq highlights the interconnected nature of Eurasia during this time, contributing to our knowledge of early food globalization. Our discovery of millet, and thus the evidence of summer cultivation practices, also forces us to reconsider the capacity and resilience of the agricultural systems that sustained and provisioned Mesopotamian early societies, states, and empires. So that's really cool. Trading in crops. Something that people tend to think of in these early agricultural periods is that people were relatively isolated, and that's not true, especially in somewhere like the Middle East. I mean, you're just so connected everywhere to Asia, Europe, Africa. You're like right there, perfect for trading with everybody, and trade was such an important part of civilization. Anytime if you started to well, even before, like when you're mobile and doing like seasonal camps in places, you run into people, you meet new individuals, they have new ideas, they have different technology, they have pretty baubles. You're going to trade. It was a great way to survive, really. Like humans, we like to work together, even though we do squabble quite a bit. Alright, how DNA is preserved in archaeological sediments for thousands of years, which I'm sure a lot of you think, wow, that's amazing. So let's read about it. Sediments in which archaeological finds are embedded have long been regarded by most archaeologists as unimportant byproducts of excavations. However, in recent years it has been shown that sediments can contain ancient biomolecules, including DNA. This is actually becoming more and more well known, and it's completely changing the way that archaeologists are going to excavate certain sites, especially when you're looking for that ancient DNA. So when you go into a site and you're going to be utilizing soil samples to see if you can extract some of this information, you're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to make sure that you do not contaminate the site at all. Like, your hair has to be covered, your clothes have to be covered, your hands have to be covered, everything. You're in one of those like biohazard suits basically, because you cannot contaminate with new product. And then you also have to be careful too. So with the stratigraphy, this layer may be modern and this layer older, but when it rains or other floods or an animal pees or something, it might seep down through the layers. So you actually have to be careful with that too. But there's being able to extract the DNA from soil samples is amazing. It's really helping a lot when there's limited like archaeological remains there, but there's a lot of ways to screw it up. So it's tedious, to say the least. The retrieval of ancient human and faunal DNA from sediments offers exciting new opportunities to investigate the geographical and temporal distribution of ancient human remains and other organisms at sites where their skeletal remains were rare or absent. um, Matthias Mayer, Max Planck. To investigate the origin of DNA in the sediment, Max Planck researchers teamed up with the international group of geoarchaeologists, archaeologists who apply, to study DNA preservation in sediment at microscopic scale. They used undisturbed blocks of sediment that had been previously removed from archaeological sites and soaked in synthetic plastic-like polyester resin. The hardened blocks were taken to the laboratory and sliced in sections for microscopic imaging and genetic analysis. The researchers successfully extracted DNA from a collection of blocks of sediment prepared as long as 40 years ago from sites in Africa, Asia, Europe, and North America. The fact that these blocks are an excellent source of ancient DNA, including that originating from hominins, despite often decades of storage in plastic, provides access to a vast untapped repository of genetic information. The study opens up a new era of ancient DNA studies that will revisit samples stored in labs, allowing for analysis of sites that have long since been backfilled, which is especially important given travel restriction and site inaccessibility in a pandemic world. I mean, it's a temporary thing. At least we all hope it's going to be temporary and this restriction and everything is going to go away eventually. Mike Morley from Flinders University in Australia, who led some of the geoarchaeological analysis, abundance of microremains in the sediment matrix. So I had never heard of taking chunks of sediment and casting it in resin. That's interesting, and that would definitely preserve it pretty much perfectly for many, many years. I mean, plastic doesn't really degrade, and if you keep it in a really nice lab, environmentally controlled condition, you're going to have perfect preservation, and that's actually awesome, and I hadn't thought of that before. The scientists used blocks of sediment from Denisova Cave, a site located in Altai Mountains in south-central Siberia, where an ancient DNA from Neanderthals, Denisovans, and modern humans has been retrieved, and showed that small organic particles yielded more DNA than sediment sampled randomly. It clearly shows that the high success rate of ancient mammalian DNA retrieval from the Denisova Cave sediments comes from the abundance of microremains in the sediment matrix rather than from free extracellular DNA from species, bodily fluids, or decomposing cellular tissue potentially absorbed into mineral grains, says Vera Aldiais, co-author of the study and research of the University of Algarve in Portugal. This study is a big step closer to understand precisely where and under what conditions ancient DNA is preserved in sediments. The approach described in the study allows highly localized microscale sampling of sediments for DNA analysis and shows that ancient DNA is not uniformly distributed in the sediment, and that specific sediment features are more conducive to ancient DNA preservation than others. Linking sediment aDNA to the archaeological microcontext means that we can also address the possibility of physical movement of aDNA between sedimentary deposits. aDNA is ancient DNA. The lead author of the study was able to recover substantial amounts of Neanderthal DNA from only a few milligrams of sediment. He could identify the sex of the individuals who left their DNA behind and showed that they belonged to a population related to a Neanderthal whose genome was previously reconstructed from a bone fragment discovered in the cave. The Neanderthal DNA in these small samples of plastic-embedded sediment was, "Hey Drewski, what's up? We're just talking about DNA here and being able to extract it from the sediment." So with this approach, it will become possible in the future to analyze the DNA of many different ancient human individuals from just a small cube of solidified cement. It is amusing to think that this is presumably so because they used to cave as a toilet tens of thousands of years ago. Yes, sifting through a toilet. Fun. And you'll actually you can do that a lot with like historic outhouses too. Um, you find a lot in those. People threw all kinds of things in there just to dispose of it. So, yep. Alright. DNA preserved in lice glue reveals South American mummy secrets. Anyone who has ever peered through a magnifying glass and struggled to pick nits knows how effectively female head lice cement each of their eggs to a human hair. Once these pests gain a foothold, they are notoriously difficult to dislodge, but even a school nurse might be shocked at their real staying power. Scientists have previously found louse eggs still stubbornly stuck to ancient hair after 10,000 years. And now researchers have discovered something even more remarkable about the glue lice use to adhere eggs to hair. Invertebrate biologist Alejandra Perotti and her team found that lice cement turns out to be exceptional at trapping and preserving anything in cases, including high-quality ancient human DNA from the lice's hosts. Their study, published this week in Molecular Biology and Evolution, was a case of life imitating art. It played out a bit like the scene in Jurassic Park, in which dinosaur DNA was preserved by mosquitoes that had sucked dinosaur blood before subsequently becoming sealed in amber. In this case, female lice had secreted cement from glands in their reproductive organs to affix eggs, called nits, to the hair of ancient humans, who later became 1,500 to 2,000-year-old mummies in Argentina's Andes Mountains. In doing so, the lice trapped skin cells from the human scalps in their cement. Perotti and colleagues sequenced genomes from the skin cells to discover that these ancient inhabitants originally came from rainforests in southern Venezuela and Colombia. What's more, they found that DNA in the glue was kept at quality similar to that typically retrieved from teeth and superior to that of other common sources like the skull's dense petrous bone. That means examples of ancient hair, clothes, and other textiles around the world with their ubiquitous lice could end up yielding priceless DNA that identified their human hosts even if their remains have vanished. If you have hair, or if you have clothing, you can find nits attached. We can study thousands of years of the hosts and lice's natural and evolutionary history just by examining the DNA trapped in the cement. So that's cool, gross and cool. So human hair with a nit attached to it by lice cement. That's what it looks like. Tiny little thing. Cool, cool. Using bugs. Always using bugs. Alright, let's see if I can do this correctly. Don't know if it will let me. Let's see. Okay, so it is going to let me. So, I developed a very slight lesson. Not anything special. It doesn't even have cool background. It's plain white. But Sahelanthropus tchadensis is the earliest known ancestor of humans. And this we have very little evidence of them. We don't have many specimens. So Sahelanthropus tchadensis was our first ancestor, and we have a picture shown what they might have looked like using some forensic techniques to rebuild the fleshy bits, which I think is super cool. So let's see. Okay, so Sahelanthropus tchadensis means human from the Sahel, Sahelanthropus, anthropus, human, and Chad. So it was discovered in 2001, not that long ago, really. Well, I guess it's 20 years ago, right? 20 years ago. Um, but it is dated to between 7 and 6 million years ago. They were first located in West Central Africa, Chad. This is Chad if you don't know where Chad is. Yeah, don't just Google Chad, because the images you're gonna get are not of the country. They're of men, so that's funny. Internet and their memes. And then this is a nice map just to um, show you exactly where. I don't know why I keep wanting to like show you on my screen. You can't see my screen. Where's my? Okay, so here we'll do this. So this is Sahelanthropus chadensis, and then these are a few other hominins that have been located, and a lot of them are located in here. This is like prime real estate for hominins right in here. This and down in here too. This is right here, really good area too. So the discovery of um, Chadensis was quite startling, really. It kind of um, changed the way we viewed uh, early hominins utilizing the terrain, really. Like that, we thought they're mainly in Eastern Africa, but now they're in Central Africa. So much bigger area for them to inhabit. We have only located uh, cranial material from this species, so we haven't found any limbs or spine or anything. It's only the head, and I believe it's only like 7 pieces we've found. Um, an analysis indicates it may have had a combination of both ape-like and human-like features. So the skull is really great um, for comparison. I mean, we use it, we identify loved ones, and we're able to communicate so well with our facial features, not features, facial expressions. So a lot has gone on with the skull to um, accommodate the large brain of a human. So looking at this specimen, they have both ape and human-like, and we're going to go through them. So for ape, they have a very small brain. The entire brain case, we'll use Gregor here, the entire brain case is pretty small, and it's actually, from this specimen, slightly smaller than a chimpanzee. And then their face is sloping. I don't have this for you, but it's sloping more like this. And then, so they're not going to really have a forehead, which is a very important feature for humans. The brow ridge is going to be very prominent on them. I wish I put a picture here. I don't know why I didn't put a picture of the skull here. And then they're going to have an elongated skull. So humans, since we have the forehead, our skull is quite tall compared to other hominins. And for this individual, for the Chadensis, I mean, it's going to be elongated this way. So it's going to be kind of flat and long, whereas humans very rounded in comparison. Okay, and then for humans, a really big human trait is the small canine teeth that we have. If you looked at closest relatives, chimpanzees, or bonobos, or even like gorillas or something, their canine teeth are very prominent, large. They use them for eating. They use them for like ape to ape combat. You know, they the human canine is quite right here. It's right here. Uniform with the other front teeth. They do tend to be sharper still, but in comparison, they're very small. The mid face, so looking at this area right here, it's pretty short, and in humans it's pretty short, not really accommodating a large nose and olfactory sense. And then the foramen magnum. The foramen magnum is the large hole that sits at the bottom of the skull. For humans, it's at the bottom, but it's where the spinal cord attaches to the brain. It's where the spine, like you can see, this is the first vertebra here, attaches. This is actually a separate bone, but because of how you do it, it attaches onto here. So this is the first vertebra. The foramen magnum is a large hole, and magnum, large hole, the biggest one in the human body. In humans, it's positioned directly below us, right here. And then for chimps and quadrupedal animals, it's positioned in the back. So if it was positioned underneath, like humans, you'd be walking with your head down. Like, you couldn't see. So it's positioned in the back to keep your head up so you can actually look out on quadrupedal individuals. And then humans, it's shifted down. So for Sahelanthropus tchadensis, there is a theory that they walked kind of both. The foramen magnum is still kind of tucked up. It's not as forward as a human, but still kind of tucked up, indicating that they probably spent a pretty good amount of time bipedally, unlike chimps. So, yeah, it's interesting stuff, right? Okay, so, not 7. 9 cranial specimens were discovered in Chad. The team of specialists was led by a French paleontologist, Michael Brunet, uncovered the fossil in 2001. The type specimen has a very good name. Very memorable, guys. It's TM266010606-1. Remember that. It's important. No, I'm just kidding with you guys. Sometimes type specimens are like specimens just have hard names to remember. Sometimes they're given really nice, easy names like Lucy was, but this one wasn't. Type specimen is actually a specific term used in paleoanthropology, and it's you take so you find a bunch of different individuals, fossils. You're going to find one that is in the best condition and represents that species the best, and that's the type specimen. There's other ones too, like the first one that was found, but this is the type specimen. It's also the only one we've found. Discovery in Central Africa indicated a wider spread distribution. I said that. Provides evidence humans diverged from other apes approximately 6 to 7 million years ago. So the Tchadensis has a lot of like ape qualities, some human qualities. So it's likely the earliest ancestor of humans and the closest relative to both chimps and humans that likely diverged. It might have the exact like point that chimps and humans, it's closest to this individual diverged. It's closest to this individual, the Tchadensis, than we've found yet, and helps really kind of start to paint a picture on how closely we are related to chimps. You might have heard that they're our closest relative and everything, but they're still pretty far removed. I mean, there's a lot of physical traits that are different between us, but it can also be hard because chimps are just as evolved as humans. I know that in pop culture, when you say evolved, you like to it's kind of a pretentiousness of humans are superior, we're more evolved, when chimps are just as evolved as humans. They have evolved in the environment that they needed to survive. Like that's really all that happened. They are every animal that is alive today is just as evolved as a human. I know pop culturally we say, oh, humans are evolved, we're intelligent, we're advanced technologically, but that's not how we talk about it in paleoanthropology. So keep that in mind um, when talking within an evolutionary realm. So I put this in the wrong place. This is the specimen that we have. As you can see, where's my mouse? Very prominent brow ridge, which will stick around for a long, long time. Pretty short mid face. The slope of the face, so still having a prominent mouth, the maxilla, the mandible, teeth, you're gonna have prominent, a lot of chewing needed, and then a small brain case here with pretty large muscle attachments right here. Unlike a gorilla, it doesn't look, this isn't the best picture. They don't, so if you've seen a gorilla skull, they have a huge attachment right here for the jawbones. Very massive muscle for the mandible to bite down. And I think they have just like a slight bump up, but not really a crest like a gorilla does. And gorillas even earlier spanned out, but yep, this is S.Tchadensis. And then these are the two sources I used for this if you guys wanted to take a look at them. The oh, jeez. Started smelling stuff. I forgot I put something on the stove. Oh my goodness. I got home and I was like, okay, I gotta get dinner started. I need to get the stream going. Let's do this. And I forgot I had gotten this dinner started. It's fine. It's soup, so I'm just boiling some water right now. Yeah, the Smithsonian, which is the first link here, is a wonderful source for like initial looking at specimens and everything we have. They have really great images for it, and I believe you can look at them kind of in a 3D mode to kind of move it around and take a look from different angles that you want. So I would recommend going and checking them out. It's a pretty user-friendly website. Yeah, so this is the earliest hominid that we have. Earliest ancestor. So that concludes today. Yeah, I will see you guys next Tuesday and probably bring along another lesson of the next specimen we have. I'll probably continue this on. I like doing this. I hope you learned about the S.Tchadensis. If you have any questions, just put them down in the comments, I guess, and I will answer to the best of my ability, or not. I don't know. Nobody comments on my stuff. But we'll see. It'll be fun. I will see you guys next Tuesday. You can always join the Discord too. And goodbye.